Well, Philo Wallace, it's always great to talk to you and have you on the show. Um, I've got to throw a little accusation at you, though. What have you done to Mr. Pooran?
Uh, Thank you, Philip, for having me on your show yet again. I have done for Nicholas Pooran nothing. Nicholas Pooran has really shocked me in announcing his retirement from international cricket. It's a big decision for him. Obviously, he said he was thinking about it and he's finally done it. Only a couple of weeks ago, one of the executives of CWI was saying that they hope to see him playing red ball cricket, even Test cricket. And that obviously that now has turned to sand. I see that we'll have to pick up the pieces and move on from Nicholas Pooran. He's also a former captain as well, former T20 captain with some success. And he'll be a big miss in the T20 ranks of the West Indies. And the way how West Indies play the T20 game, Pooran would have fitted right quite nicely into that. But unfortunately for another player if he gets the opportunity, it's unfortunate for West Indies at this time. Maybe not doing that well in T20 cricket. Now to hear that Pooran, let's call it quits.
Well, the conspiracy theorists are always out in this part of the world, especially. And already, you may recall that not too long ago, after finishing his IPL stint, he asked to be rested and opted not to, make himself available to join the squad in England. And there are those who already believe that that may not have been well received by the management of West Indies cricket. And who knows, that may very well be factored in to his decision to have a clean break.
Philip, I do was surprised when Nicholas Pooran asked to be rested from the tour of England because his franchise did not make the playoffs. He had a indifferent IPL. He started well, and then obviously he started to fail with some low scores. And to ask for rest surprised me, particularly with the West Indies team being in England. And obviously, I believe he took that rest, and it was a time to reflect on this decision that he has made. Maybe it would not have gone down well with some people in the area of authority and the decision makers within Cricket West Indies. But he's an adult, he's a father. He has made a decision which we have to accept and respect. And obviously, West Indies cricket has to move on from Nicholas Pooran, saying that he's decided to call it quits.
In a sense, West Indies cricket has already started to move on from Nicholas Pooran because he's not played a one international in almost 2 years, and hasn't played the recent T20. He's asked to be rested. There's a World Cup next year. So in a sense, this is probably just the official recognition that they're moving on.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in a little while. Obviously, he's been out of favor. He played in the World Cup with some success. He hasn't not really, catch a like the fields of play when he represented West Indies, like how he has done in the T20 leagues around the world. But you still think that he has, he could have made more of a contribution. He's only 29 years old. He's not old of any in any sense. He's young. He still has the ability. He's talented, as we all know. And to just shock us with this announcement. But of course, West Indies T20 plans back, as you said earlier, there's a World Cup coming. And you will want all your guns to be firing in the World Cup. And certainly Pooran would have been one. But unfortunately, he wouldn't be there. So it's just a rejigger now for head coach Darren Sammy. He has to rejigger a lot of things. So a lot of things are not working. And hopefully, we can get a proper T20 squad going after that World Cup and try to do well for West Indies cricket.
Interesting, you say a number of things are not working. We can look at some of those. We were led to believe, and I don't think Cricket West Indies made any effort to suggest it was not true, that part of the reason for having Darren Sammy in charge of all of the teams was with the expectation or hope, at least, that the white ball players would make themselves available for red ball cricket as well. Clearly, this is not a good start where that is concerned.
Yeah, well, it was difficult from the beginning, even to say, I can't see white ball cricketers giving up their franchise cricket to come and play red ball cricket for West Indies. There was an article around the world with one of our T20 players that said, look, you know what I mean? When I got injured, certain people look after me. And if you play Test cricket for West Indies, when you finish, you certainly might not have anything. So the T20 circuit is where he has made his mark and he's made his living. And you have to respect people for making those decisions. At the end of the day, everybody wants to live. And the young cricketers of today, Philip, have learned from the former cricketers that when they stop playing those former cricketers, they end up in society struggling. And these young men that are playing now, they don't want to end up struggling. They want to make sure that they can maximize their earning power and earning potential to the fullest. That is something that CWI and the territorial boards will have to grapple with and try to find a balance. But it's going to be difficult. So to get white ball players to play red ball cricket, you're going to be Houdini. Because when you look at the salaries that are paid for playing the white ball cricket for 5 and 6 weeks in relation to playing test match cricket, the players are not going to play a lot of white ball cricket at all. They're going to look to stay within the franchise leagues. Some of them are looking even now to get like 2 and 3 year contracts in the franchise leagues, secure themselves for down the road.
Well, it's interesting though that the whole idea to my mind of white ball players being the same as a test cricket, um, personally, I find it quite laughable because there are those who would suggest, and I would find it very difficult to argue with them, that many of the white ball players are not even doing well in white ball cricket. That's from the perspective of international cricket, from a West Indies perspective. Because if you look at the performance of our teams in recent times, the World Cup last year was, yes, there were great moments, but I'm sure we expected more. We were hoping for more. We were virtually promised more by the coach. And we only get the odd victory at the one international level. We didn't even make the World Cup. So, one could argue that the white ball players are not really cutting it from a West Indian perspective and helping the West Indies team. But no, you're asking them to come to an area where they're not seen in the same light and improve that. To my mind, that never made sense.
But let me put it as simple as this. You put a man to swim in the sea and he can't swim. If you put him in a pool, he'll drown. So we in the West Indies have to understand that our white ball cricketers are struggling to play the white ball game properly. And if you're struggling to play the white ball game properly,
Which you're
we have
supposed
a
to be
bit
good
more
at.
freedom. We're supposed to be good at, and you have more freedom in a white ball game than in a red ball because the red ball the lines are a lot tighter, the bowlers ball harder, the field placing is a lot more, attacking and stuff like that. You can't take a lot of risks in the red ball game, and you want those guys to come from a position of not doing well to a position of challenging their techniques and their mental. That can't work. It's not going to work in the Caribbean. I think that we need to find cricketers, Philip, to play the various formats. Stop banning people as a white ball player and a white ball and a red ball player. They also play a pink ball. You can call them a pink ball player as well. I think we have to look to get cricketers to represent West Indies and try to balance their skills for red ball and white ball instead of branding them and pigeonholing them into a category. Get them to play cricket properly, understand the games and the skills and understand the game scenarios and execute on the day. West Indies have lost the art of winning, and that is another beef as well. Because if you don't win, you create an environment where people don't have the belief that they can win. And when you have that doubt that you can win and non-believers, then you're struggling. You're coming out of a wet hole that is full of grease.
You talk about the players securing their future and so on, and making that decision because sometimes they're not very well looked after by Cricket West Indies, especially after retirement, or looked after in a way that when they retire, they can retire comfortably. But there are those who would suggest that it was really through Cricket West Indies that you made a name for yourself and attracted the interest of the franchises.
I agree. Yes, you made your name in West Indies cricket and the franchises obviously have latched on to you. We talk about giving back. I don't think there's anything such as giving back. I think that if the players want to come and make a contribution to cricket, they should. You just can't tell a player come back and play for coming back and play safe. That player has to be willing and able to come back into the regional competition and play with a high degree of expectancy and confidence. Say, well, look, yes, we're glad to have you back here because now we can see you put in what we expect you back into this game, but with meaning. Just don't let a fella come back just for coming back. See, you got some players who will return to play first class cricket. They play 1 or 2 games and they're out again. How much contribution have they made? I think that the boards have to let these players know, look, this is the situation of our cricket. If you're going to return to the region and you want to participate in our cricket, you have to participate fully so that you can make a meaningful contribution and the pundits and the players can embrace what you're doing to say, look, you are helping our cricket to grow because we need some of these senior players to grow our cricket, to grow the interest of the game and to keep those younger players within the right mindset and skill set in order to improve their game. So our overall picture is to improve the standard and quality of cricket in the region. But if you're just telling a man to come back and play, he's not going to do it with any meaning. So it's just a waste of time.
There are those who are saying that what happened here with Pooran was inevitable and that it basically is just the start of a new normal. And by that I mean they were making a point, for example, that In many other sports, it's the domestic competitions that actually drive the sport. So if you look at football, for example, people talk more about the Premier League in England and the various professional leagues around the world. And from time to time, there's international cricket. International football. And basically, what they're saying is that the same type of thing is going to happen with cricket. Do you see that as an end game, so to speak, or do you think the Puran situation is just going to be just the odd player who will make that choice?
But when they look at the Caribbean and how we do these things, they'll believe that there's just the young player make that decision. But it has to start somewhere. And if it started at a guy at Pooran, who's an attractive player who is known all over the world, and I believe he commands the respect of his peers, a lot of others will follow. When you look at the domestic competition, I agree with you. The domestic competition that is where they develop and nurture. And a lot of stuff happens at the domestic level. At the international level, there's so very little happening. You don't get the enthusiasm, you don't get the support. Yes, you get the odd die-hard supporters who will come and watch the cricket. Other than that, you're finding no new supporters because of what is happening at the international level. But yeah, at the domestic level, you'll find people gravitating because that is where the player expresses himself. My question is, how comfortable are the players in this new setup? Was Poran comfortable with the new setup? Is there something that was so bothersome to him that he decided to call it quits? Because I just can't see him waking up one night and say, look, I'm going to finish with this. There must be a reason why. What caused him to retire at such a young age, 29 years old? So there's more to this story than just a man retiring from West Indies cricket. I think there's something deeper, but we might never know because at CWI everything is a secret. But we hope that this is a wake-up call to West Indies to understand that the so-called good players that we have in any format can wake up one morning and say to the world, I'm retiring. I no longer want to wear the West Indies badge. And that is the reality. And now the CWI have to wake up and understand that they need to put things in place to secure these players and to help them to understand the importance of representing West Indies. And they need to know that when they're representing West Indies, there's a big ask to win because we are winners. We've come out of a culture of winning. And now we are going into a culture of not winning with a lot of hot air being said, very little good results.
Well, it's very difficult to argue with you on the point you made there about a decision that obviously was not made overnight. Then just what days ago we were told that Puran is asked to be rested. There's a big difference between resting and retiring. So I think those who are suggesting that something happened after that request, I think there may very well be something there, but as you said, we may probably never know. But on the subject, though, of the domestic aspect ruling the roost, what happened with football for sure is that there is some collaboration. In other words, the domestic leagues are not in conflict with international cricket. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
international football. In fact, I follow the Premier League more than I follow most of the others, and I know that there's something
Mm-hmm.
called the international break. So you don't get the conflict between the various leagues and the international
Mm-hmm.
competition. So there are those who would suggest that the ICC really is a failing in the ICC to some extent, that the IPL and other leagues have compromised international cricket.
Yeah, when you look at the IPL and some of the other leagues around the world, they have blocked, and it's international cricket. We can even use the example of West Indies in England, where some of our players who were in the IPL, they had to go back. Obviously, there was some little war between Pakistan and India, so the IPL had a break, suspended. The players went to safety. And then after it cooled down, IPL decided to restart the competition and the players went back. So going back to the IPL, that means that the players who were selected for the international tour of England by the West Indies cricket, selected Darren Sammy. Then West Indies is not a country because you have to replace players because they've decided to stay in India and fulfill their contractual obligations or duties with the franchise. So there is a conflict. But because who pays the piper calls the tune, not a lot of international boards will say anything against it. It happened, we saw it even with Pakistan with Akil Hussain. He went back and he missed a date for a visa, but that could have been handled a different way. So yes, there is these franchise leagues are tapping into the international calendar, but they're doing it in a way that is very slick. Obviously, war was not, they couldn't foresee war between India and Pakistan. Those things happen. But at least, they can have the respect for the international cricketers and the international cricket teams. Because West Indies need all the best players to play. Despite we're not winning, but we need all of them to represent West Indies at the same time. So
I mean,
at least we can assemble a competitive unit
but
to
yeah,
win matches.
because even when we have the best team, best available team is beautifully to work out, we don't necessarily win anyhow. So you're
Agreed.
going to be struggling even more when you don't have the best team. Do you see a solution though? You talk about respect for the international game. I don't think in this day and age, when there's hardly anything that human beings respect more now than money. So apart from respect, do you see a solution to this conflict between the
But
domestic and
the
international?
thing is about solution, Philip, is that ICC at the ICC board level are the presidents of the international cricket boards. What do they discuss? You keep hearing about the big three or big four, but what do they discuss in relation to helping
Some
the
would
other
suggest the big one.
boards? What do they do to help the other boards that are not so big? To try
Um,
to balance this whole thing about franchise cricket, taking away the very good players from the international teams. Do the territory, international cricket board, CW, etc., try to get tours in a way that don't conflict with these franchise leagues? Another franchise leagues are popping up all over the world. There's one in America. It is, so players will go off to America, which is in the summer. Most of our cricket in the region is played in the summer. So is it me? You're telling me that the international cricket boards have to ask these franchises to have a block where their international itineraries can be fulfilled? Because if you don't fulfill the international itineraries, you can be penalized as well. So do these international cricket boards have to go to the franchises and work out the schedule so they can fit in a full international series so that it can be a win-win situation for everyone? But
but
at the end of the day, you look at it now, franchises are dominating the cricket landscape.
yeah, and the thing about it is, people draw the reference to football and other sports, but I think that cricket is unique in this way. There's a lot of domestic football, yes, but the
Yeah.
same players who play in the Premier League are not the same ones who are playing in Spain and playing in other parts of the world. You're not playing in Spain one day and next week you're playing for somebody else in another part of the world. This franchise cricket, to my mind, closely resembles what we used to do at school. I run you captain first pick. Okay. And I don't try. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but let's face it. Which other sport do you have an Andre Russell or any one player, a Philip Hackett, a Philo Wallace, a John Brown, playing in about six different countries for six different teams at six different times, even if some of those teams are connected?
Yeah, but that is what the franchises are doing. I mean, even look at this guy, Sakanda Raza, who played for Zimbabwe in the one-off test the other day, a 4-day test match at Nottingham in England.
Uh-huh.
He got 50 odd in seconds in quick time. Zimbabwe lost the test match. He left the ground and went straight to the airport and headed for Pakistan to play in the final. But yeah, everybody would say he obviously he had Zimbabwe's cricket at heart. But they went to the final in Pakistan and they won. He hit the winning run.
Mm.
So another fellow would say, but if this guy can do it, the others can do it.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about moving from international cricket to franchise. I'm talking about where I'm playing. Okay, if you call the name of any English footballer, okay, from any particular English team, whatever name you call, I'm going to ask you to connect him to any other franchise in football anywhere else in the world.
But he's not going to go to any other franchise in football because he's under contract and he's paid well.
Exactly. So this is why I'm saying that there's a difference in the structure of
There will be a
franchise
difference in
football
the
and
structure
franchise
between
cricket.
football and cricket. There will be.
Yeah.
We in the region don't have the finances to keep a lot of players in the region. And we heard years ago, a former president said, the players have to feed their families. So if you're giving a man scratch grain to field foul call, you're in trouble. The man needs to go and find chicken, good chicken feed for a very long time to feed his family. And that is what is happening. We're giving the fellas chicken feed in the region and they're going away better feed for their families and they're going to stay there and enjoy it for a very long time. And if the boards don't, if the territorial boards and CDWI don't understand it, well, They are blind because it is happening right in front of our eyes, and more players will drop out of the cricket at the territorial board level and the international level, and they've applied their trades to the franchises because they're looked after better by the franchises. It's been said by many players that they've been looked after a lot better from the franchises. So that is where their heart and desire goes to. If you look after me properly, I'm going to make sure that I can come and represent you by playing cricket to the highest of my ability. And do every year and do well. They train harder for the franchises. They want to put in better performances for the franchises. Maybe they get incentives for doing well at the franchises. I don't know of any incentives at Cricket West Indies level or territorial board level. So all these are things that are facing the problem that cricket administrators are facing because you can't compete with the big boys. You're being left behind. But they have to strike a balance. I believe there are things that can be done to help our cricketers sustain the region. But you know what we say in the Caribbean? If a fella have two ice creams, it's too much for him, so we only give him a half. But the other man is giving him 10. And he's saying, thank you very much. Because we believe in the region, it's always too much for somebody. And we need to get out of that mentality. We like to give other people the opportunity to have too much and don't say about it. But when it comes to our very own, it is too much. So the guys realize in the region it's too much, but outside the region, it is more than adequate.
You mentioned earlier about a number of things that have not been going right with West Indies cricket, quite apart from the loss of Pooran or any of the other players. And that set me to thinking in terms of the current situation in the England series. I listened to the coach Darren Sammy the other day, and he was talking about the challenges of Hope being the keeper and captain. And that caught my attention and maybe baffled me to some extent. Wasn't it Darren Sammy's desire for Hope to be the captain of the T20 side, replacing Robin Powell, who, according to the data, had not done badly? And also, I understand that Hope was also invited to be the West Indies Test captain as well. So I found it a bit strange that the coach would be using that as part of the reason why West Indies may fail to defend a competitive total by saying that the captain is difficult to captain and keep wicket. Is this something that he's now discovering since Hope took up the additional responsibility?
Maybe the data has shown him that it's too hard. But I would like to ask who recommended Shea Hope to be the white ball captain? Where the recommendation came from? Shea Hope has been a standout in our white ball cricket. We've given him both the T20 and ODIs teams to lead. Robin Powell is no longer the captain of T20 after doing a decent job. I know that the coach is saying it's difficult to be the captain and we're keeper. So if you're a footballer and you're the captain, it's difficult to be the goalkeeper and the captain. You've given a man a job of responsibility because you feel he can do it. Because things are not going well, you're now blaming the same man because of his jobs that he's doing, keeping wicket, captaining, running down to talk to a bowler running back. But Shea Hope is not the first wicketkeeper captain that we had in West Indies in world cricket. I think the problem with West Indies cricket in England, we are 5-0 now. And any Barbadian who knows dominoes, if you get 6 love, you know you're no good. You try to avoid a 6 love when you're playing dominoes. I would hope that they try to avoid a 6 love in England, or they may now get 6 love in England to come and face South Africa starting this week in Barbados. And I hope that they can get over that 6-0 defeat very quickly. If you are telling me that because Hope is captain, they're losing, well, let me tell you something. The world stops spinning. We are losing in England, Philo, and this is only my opinion. We're losing the games in England because we're not thinking the cricket games properly. We're getting good scores with the bat, but we're not thinking properly when we're bowling. Our bowlers are not consistent enough to keep the English batters quiet. The English batters have expressed themselves in a way that they desire because of loose bowling. Also, some of the field placings I am not happy with as well in some of the games. So we are not losing no games because Shea Hope is a captain and is the wicketkeeper. We're losing games because our bowlers are not bowling consistently well and we're not playing smart. But the ODI series is going, we're not playing smart T20 cricket. The last game at Gloucestershire would have shown us that we're not playing smart T20 cricket. When we got 196, I said that we left some on the field. If you score 126 and 120 balls, you would take that and run with it, but you have to defend it properly. We're not defending properly and we're losing. And that is a fundamental error. I know the new bowling coach, Ravi Rampal, he'll be stunned at the performances so far of the bowlers. But that is what you get when you jump into the Lions Den. When you jump into the Lions Den with blood on you, the Lions will eat you. You have to jump into the Lions Den with armor and tools. And unfortunately, we don't have the armor, and the tools are certainly not bright enough to bring about victory. We have to play a lot smarter in order to beat the other international sides. The guys want to beat us because they know that we are limited. Our players are not strategic in their thinking, and our planning obviously is set one way. Because I can't understand how you could defend in a total, and you're telling me to bowl wide of your stump, but I have mid off in the circle. If I'm going to bowl wide of your stump, the batter more likely to hit the ball down to long off. So if I have a long off in play, I'm bowling wide of your side, I have a chance to get him out. But if I bowl in wide of your stump and the mid off is in play and he clears mid off, well, clearly you can get a boundary. So sometimes we need to stop from procrastinating and predicting the cricket and play the game on the field of play as it is in the real. If a batter is flicking well, you bowl out swingers. If he's cutting well, you bowl straight at the stumps on a full length. You don't keep bowling short and telling me you can miss one or edge one. A man don't edge a favorite shot. So we need to understand that there are fundamental principles when we are playing this cricket that needs to be adhered to, and data and stats cannot prove it. Cricket is a on the field game. Stats are only stats because a man typing some numbers and the computer spit out numbers. If there's nothing going into the computer, nothing will come out. So start relying on stats and rely on your ability as a cricketer and thinking on your feet to execute the game plan on the day. You might have a plan before the game, but when the game starts, it might have to change. Let the captain and the players understand that they have the authority to turn plan A to plan B to get victories. We need to win cricket matches in order to be recognized in the world. Our goodwill is starting to dwindle.
Philo Wallace, you always have a word for the wise, a wise word for the wise. Thanks for joining us again on Anything Cricket. Let's talk.
Thank you, Philip. All the very best.